If you've been following this comprehensive C6 camshaft series of videos, then you know the hard part is done, and I've selected this little beauty right here to go into my LS2. But before I made my camshaft selection, together we walk through the various factors that should be part of your thought process when selecting a cam for your C6, and it's primarily based upon the type of driving you intend to do. If you missed any of those earlier videos, be sure to check them out and you'll find links to them right up here. Now it's finally time to install this little beauty into my LS2, right? Not so fast. First, we're gonna need to make sure that we have all of the other necessary parts that we think we're gonna need so that we can not only finish this job efficiently, but also, more importantly, correctly. When performing an LS cam swap, you can go absolutely crazy and replace just about everything you can touch and see while you're in there, or you can be really cheap and replace the bare minimum because these engines can typically go 200,000 miles without even flinching. When the car being worked on is my own, obviously I have very low labor costs, so that's part of the equation. But I must say, through the years, I have seen more than just a few parts be either defective or fail prematurely much earlier than they should have, and so I tend to fall somewhere in the middle, and I carefully examine and evaluate every part that I have access to while I'm in there, but I typically only replace some of the parts. I'll explain more as we move along, but here's a list of the parts that I'm talking about, so let's walk through each part one by one, starting with the parts that absolutely must be replaced. The first parts on the mandatory replace list are valve springs, and this is because the stock LS2 camshaft only provides about 520 thousandths of an inch of lift at the valves. Most aftermarket cams that you would be considering for your LS2 are probably going to provide at least 550 thousandths of an inch of lift at the valves, plus the lobe designs are much more aggressive. If for some crazy reason we didn't replace the stock LS2 valve springs, we would either have a case of serious valve float, or perhaps before that had a chance to happen, we might experience valve spring coil bind, and both of these issues are really bad. You definitely don't want them happening inside your engine. So the camshaft I selected has 600 thousandths of an inch of lift at the valves, and I intend to rev the engine to 6,600 RPMs often and occasionally to 6,800 RPMs. So how do I know which valve springs I need to buy? Thankfully, this part is much easier than choosing the camshaft itself, and the vendor that you bought the camshaft from or the camshaft company should be able to provide you with several options of valve springs that'll work well with your camshaft. So in my case, there are 4 different spring options that are listed on the spec sheet that Summit Racing provided with my camshaft. 3 of the spring designs are dual valve springs and 1 is of the beehive type. Both types of valve springs would definitely work, and people do have their preferences, but in my case, since I do not plan to do any serious road racing where the LS2 engine could be at sustained high RPMs for long periods of time, and since my camshaft only has 600 thousandths of an inch of lift at the valves, I'm going to opt for the simple, tried and true beehive style valve spring. Here are the specs that Summit has for the beehive style spring listed on their website. It's their Summit house brand of spring. I'm sure they don't make it. I'm not really sure who does. I'm sure it would be a fine option, but that having been said, I'm going to go ahead and use the PAC 1219 beehive springs for 2 reasons. 1, these springs have a little bit stronger of a spring rate, and 2, over the years, I've never heard a bad thing about PAC valve springs, ever. Next, let's talk about LS push rods, which are known to be a little bit flimsy, but they do work just fine with stock LS camshafts, which have relatively short lobes producing mild amounts of valve lift, and the lobe design itself generally isn't that radical. Aftermarket cams are a different animal. Generally speaking, they produce more valve lift, and they tend to open and close the intake and exhaust valves much quicker. In addition to the way the new cam will be much more aggressive in the way it treats the intake and exhaust valves, as mentioned, I will be bumping up my red line by 300 RPMs, and so new chromoly push rods will be in order, but I can't order them just yet. First, I will need to install the new camshaft, then I can use my handy dandy TrickFlow push rod measuring tool to determine the correct length of push rods that I will need to order. In case you're not aware, our LS rocker arms are not adjustable. We simply torque their bolts down to spec.
Torque at the spec,
It is the length of the push rod that is responsible for setting the correct lifter preload, so it is important that we get our push rod length correct to ensure proper valve train operation. If the push rods are too short, that obviously means we'll have too much clearance. The valve train is going to clatter and likely lead to damage. If the push rods are too long, either the intake or the exhaust valve will not close all the way, and that's not good, so this is a measurement that we absolutely need to get correct. This push rod measuring tool from TrickFlow costs about $30, and in my mind, you'd be absolutely silly to try to guess at what your proper push rod length should be, when instead you can measure it and be certain for not much money. The push rods actuate the rocker arms, so let's talk about rocker arms next. The stock LS rocker arms are very durable in my opinion, and they have a roller fulcrum, but they do not have roller tips. So the first logical question that we should ask is, are the stock LS rocker arms strong enough for the camshaft that we've selected? In my case, it's a camshaft with lift of 600,000ths of an inch at the valve. And is it necessary that I upgrade to a rocker arm with a roller tip, or is the standard non-roller tip good enough? And for the answers to these questions, I'm simply going to defer to Brian Tooley from Brian Tooley Racing.
A stock rocker arm and roller rocker arm operate completely different. A roller rocker arm, you get what they call a full arc motion on the valve tip. A stock rocker arm has to operate in what is called a half arc. If you try to force, this thing to where it's working in the bottom half of this arc, obviously at that point, that rocker arm, it's dragging itself across that valve tip, which causes valve tip damage. With a 15-degree rocker arm, we recommend a max lift of about 630. With a 12-degree LS7, LT1, LT4, we recommend a maximum of about 660 lift. And we also recommend a maximum of about 400 pounds open spring pressure.
So with that, I will be reusing my stock LS rocker arms, but what about the roller fulcrums? Are they durable enough? In case you weren't aware, with the stock roller fulcrums, if they fail, the needle bearings can fall out and kind of travel throughout the engine, potentially damaging other components, which would be unfortunate and very expensive. Now, there are millions of LS-powered vehicles out there running around on roads across America, and my suspicion is that the failure rate of these fulcrums is very low, but it does seem reasonable to me that if you increase the aggressiveness of the camshaft and you have stronger valve springs and you're typically running at the higher RPMs, that the failure rate is likely quite a bit higher. The good news is there are a lot of aftermarket companies out there producing upgraded fulcrums for your stock rockers that in the event of a failure won't spill the needle bearings all over the place. Even better news is because there's a lot of competitors, the price is very reasonable. The bad news is there are a lot of choices, and in situations like that, sometimes I tend to get analysis paralysis. So I need your help. I have not purchased my upgraded fulcrum kit yet, and I'm curious to know which brands you guys out there like the most and you think are the best bang for the buck. And additionally, do you prefer the ones that have needle bearings or bushings, and if so, why? I'm super curious to know what your guys' experiences have been, and it'll help me to make the decision. Another component that we absolutely need to replace while we're upgrading our cam and installing new valve springs are our valve seals. Now, I don't care if your car only has 10,000 miles on it. Our C6s are now at least 15 years old. The valve seals go through a lot of hot and cold cycling, and the valve seals will absolutely deteriorate with age, unlike me. And so I picked up a new set of valve seals for about 30 bucks from Felpro. That's going to do it for part 1 of C6 camshaft installation. Other parts to replace while we're in there. If you learned anything from the video, or heck, if you just simply enjoyed the video, tap the thumbs up so that YouTube knows to share it with the Corvette community. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and I'll see you next time.